Bom dia, boa tarde, boa noite, or whatever the case may be. My name is Marcus, and I am the host of the Black Brazil Today YouTube channel, as well as the blackbraziltoday.com blog, where I analyze Brazil from the perspective of race. So, an intriguing video that I want to react to today, as I've always said since, even when I've had the blog since 2011. And I've been doing the YouTube thing for a few years now, but I've always consistently said it was never my objective to speak for Black Brazilians, but rather to share their story. Oftentimes, many of the articles and the videos that I'm reacting to or I'm translating or whatever, these come from most of them, almost all of the stories that's of the 4,000 articles that are at blackbraziltoday.com. They're Brazilian writers. A large percentage of them are written by Black Brazilians. Most of the videos that I react to are going to be by Black Brazilians. So the idea is I share what they have to say, and then I'm going to share my opinion on it. So um, I'm not always, on top of everything that happens there, right? As I've said, I've since the year 2000, I've been heavily involved in Brazil. I visited the country numerous times. I lived there for 9 years. Just got back in the U.S. about 3 years ago, and so it's not possible for me to be up on everything that goes on in Brazil. But I try to just keep my finger on the pulse of what's going on there because I find it very intriguing. Coming from a comparative analysis when you look at the situation in the U.S. with Black folks and what's going on in Brazil with Black folks, right? So this was I'm not going to say it's a shocker at all because I know things are so complex. I mean, we can't look at Black people as being monolithic people. We all have different positions, different beliefs, or whatever. But I was a little bit like perplexed by this, right? And I'm going to explain why. Let me just talk about what is the name of today's video. I'm calling it "Why Does Brazilian Society Hate Black Couples?" When it's a Black man, they always look for something wrong to hate on him. Hmm. Now, this is not completely unheard of. As I've said over, particularly over the last decade, Black Brazilian men have been pushing back on some of the images of them that has been portrayed coming from leftist circles or from just the media in general. It's just a general pushback, like why does the society seem to want to hate on Black men? I know we hear a lot about that coming from the American perspective. So when I saw this video just like maybe 3 days ago, I had seen videos by this content creator before, but this is the first time I had seen this video. So again, I have to react to this. I mean, what's going on in this video? What's going on? I want to react to his opinion, to something that he's noticed online. And, for Brazilians who are chiming in on this channel and leaving comments, definitely I want to hear from you. What do you think about what he has to say? Of course, I'm gonna present the opinion that this guy has, and I'm going to present opinions. I'm going to present comments on the video. And so then everybody can comment and just let me know what you think about, today's topic. Yeah, feel free to always love, as I've said, I love the comments that come in here. Sometimes the comments are the best part of having a YouTube channel. So let me get directly into this video for today. Definitely like this video, share this video, subscribe to the channel, click on the notification bell so you know when I put up new videos. And with that said, let's go ahead and dive into this video. I always like to start it off by putting everything into context. So, why does Brazilian society hate Black couples? When it's a Black man, they always look for something wrong to hate on him. So, of course, this follows along in the lines of what I've talked about on this channel for a few years now. I often talk about Brazil's desire for a whiteness via what they call interracialism. Formerly, people would say it was miscegenation. But the clear idea in Brazil was we wanted to whiten the population. Brazil, as I've said over and over, brought in the most enslaved Africans of all the countries in the Americas, including the United States. If the United States brought in almost 400,000 enslaved Africans, Brazil brought over like more than 5 million, according to studies. So we're talking about 10, 11, 12 times more Africans were sent to Brazil than the United States. is anybody's guess how many actual black people there are in Brazil. As I've said, my estimate is somewhere between 60 and 80 million. That's what I would put it at. But the clear objective in promoting interracialism was the goal to whiten Brazil, to encourage black and brown Brazilians to have relationships with whiter Brazilians so that within 2 to 3, 4 generations, the families would turn white. Obviously, that didn't happen, but that's always been the goal. And even though people can say this theory is outdated, if it's still in the minds of the people, this is something that we still see going on today. I always say that I've never said I have anything against interracial marriage or interracial unions. I just say that it's only for the people to be able to decide if, particularly on the black side, if they, in fact, just fell in love with a person who just happened to be white or close to white, or if deep down inside they just feel a need to have an intimate relationship with somebody who looks or appears to be white so that they can produce whiter children. It's not for me to say, what people's motives are when they get in interracial relationships or if they get in black relationships, right? But the goal has always been whitening for at least the last 150 years in Brazil. They brought in 5 million Africans that served as enslaved free labor. And then towards the second half of the 19th century, they opened Brazil's borders to European immigrants. Like 4 million Europeans came into the country. This is okay, you guys mix with this black and brown population, and hopefully within 100 years they would disappear. Of course, that didn't happen, but that was always the goal. I've always said since about 2012 or 13 online, mostly black feminists came up with this term palmitagem that describes what they saw as a preference of black Brazilian men to marry white or close to white women for long-term relationships and to produce children and have families. They called it palmitagem. Okay. Go over to blackbraziltoday.com, almost 4,000 articles. You'll find a lot that I've written about palmitagem. As a response to palmitagem, people started calling for amor preto or amor afrocentrado, which means black love or Afrocentric love. After decades or centuries of Brazil promoting interracialism or mixed race unions to lighten the skin of the average Brazilian citizen, people started pushing back like, hey, they're trying to mix to get us, get us out of, make us disappear. The response to this is Black love and Afrocentric love, which has been a topic that's been, it's been gaining a lot of traction, particularly over the last 6 to 10 years as a pushback against palmitagem and the social engineering aspect of interracial relations. The call for Black love and Afrocentric love has led to the development of various Black dating apps to get Black men and Black women together, particularly the one that's called Afro-Dango. Talked about this a couple of videos ago, if I'm not mistaken. There is another YouTuber. She's a Brazilian woman, and she does her channel in English. And I saw on her channel a few days ago that Americans are coming to Brazil, Black Americans, and Black Americans have been visiting Brazil for a while now, and they were asking her what they thought the best dating app would be for people who are looking for Black Brazilians, and she pointed out this app called Afro-Dango. Okay, the criticism. Okay, now, first of all, there was criticism on interracial marriage when a lot of people in social networks started seeing that prominent Black men continue to choose whiter partners. They would call them out online. Like, this is an example of palmitagem and this push to erase Black and brown people, from the country's borders. We want to have a white or off-white population that represents Brazil. But then somewhere along the line of the criticism against Black Brazilian men, these same Black Brazilian men started pushing back like, Black women, as much as they talk about Black men pass them over for long-term relationships, we see that Black women also stampede over Black men to get to white men, particularly foreign white men. There's an idea that a lot of Black Brazilian men say that Black Brazilian women, if they get with a Black guy, he has to be the top of the line, what they call preto tipo A. The top of the line Black man. He's got to have a good job. He's got to be tall. He's got to be muscular. He's got to have a good career, a good house, a nice car. But with an average, they'll get with the average white guy, whereas with a Black man, they demand the top of the chart, right? That's something that a lot of Black men have been complaining about, and this whole response to miscegenation and the whitening process, what they call embranquecimento in Brazil, in black cemento, meaning within 2 to 3 generations, they hope that black families would become whiter. So that's a little bit of context for why this particular topic is so important. And then what I'm finding about what the guy in the video was saying is just all I can do is shake my head like this is messed up. Right? You'll see what I'm talking about in a minute. So right now, what I want to do is I want to just get into his video. This is from the TikTok channel from the creator known as Fala Sanuto. And right now, I just want to overdub what he has to say. Then I'm going to continue. I'm going to get into the comments. And I just want to hear what you guys have to say. So right now, let me just overdub what he had to say. Do this quick analysis with me. Have you ever stopped to think that every time a very famous black blogger gets in a relationship with a black person, the amount of haters that that person gets? And like, have you ever stopped to think why? The examples of this are Bia Ben's current relationship. What this crazy guy has suffered from haters is absurd. Like, poor guy. This is Patricia Ramos's boyfriend. She only had to come out with it recently. What a bum. Rained criticism on him. And the bum went on to investigate to find out any mistake this guy had made in order to judge him. So it goes from comparing him to her ex-boyfriend who assaulted her, committed emotional fraud, to like investigating the guy's life down to the smallest detail to find out if he had made any mistakes. Man, society follows a plan to maintain the oppression of black men. Absurd. And these two cases are an example of that. How many bloggers do you see dating a crazy white guy and no one goes to find fault with those crazy guys? And it's just like any black blogger who gets into a relationship with any black bro, people go to find fault with the guys. Like, people don't. And I'm not talking about white people. I'm talking about the black community itself that does this work. Like, white people don't even have to move to do this work. The black communities themselves already do this work. Go out and find what's wrong with the guy so you can talk badly about him. Like, you can't see a black couple who like have ascension having a relationship. It's like that. It's how many black female bloggers are you and black bloggers who are in an interracial relationship and you don't judge them? You don't judge them. You wish them happiness. It's like this. It's just that people assume that black brothers like, let's find his mistake there. That guy has to die. Society follows a plan like this of hygienist Brazil. We have to put an end to black people in Brazil. So every time you see a black relationship, you say, well, let's go and try and put an end to this black relationship. Because it seems like it's a risk. It doesn't seem like it, does it? It's a risk for Brazil. Black people maintaining a black heritage. You don't want that. You want, like, when it's an interracial couple, you let it go. No matter how much you judge, you don't look for anything wrong. When it's a black couple, it's absurd that you scrutinize their lives to look for errors. You didn't stop to think like, damn, stop. We're just following a hygienist Brazil plan. That's all. Okay, so you heard what the guy had to say. He made a lot of points here. This was just kind of like, all I could do was shake my head. Because, you know, as I said, I can't be up on everything that happens there. And this was kind of new to me. But what he's saying is that, why is it that when it's a black couple, people bring hate? And he's saying it's not just from the white community. It's almost expected from the white community. But why does the black community seem to want to find every little thing wrong when a prominent black Brazilian woman, you know, hooks up with a prominent black Brazilian guy, and they want to find faults with the guy? Now, he used the example of Patricia Ramos, this lady right here. I actually did a video about her last week because she made headlines and there was a lot of chatter online when she said she refuses to date low-income men, you know, poor men. She says she gets with a guy, the guy has to pay all the bills. So he also made reference to the last relationship she was in. I think she was married to a guy, and she accused him of emotional abuse, of physical abuse. She accused him of stealing her money, a whole lot of just a bad relationship. So he was like, because of what happened with her first husband, it just gave people plenty of fodder to go in on the next guy that she got with. And they're almost looking like, you know, Patricia Ramos and other prominent black Brazilians are of the new generation that says we want to value black love. She hooks up with I'm assuming this soccer player makes a decent amount of money. So she hooked up with him. They're promoting black love and they're getting hate online. Like, why is, and I said this before, why is it that a black man has to be at the top of his game, top of the social economic ladder, And that's the demand that Black Brazilian women seem to want. But when it's a white guy, it seems like they'll take the average guy. I've heard this. This is not the first I've heard of this. I've heard about this for literally years. That's something that Black Brazilian women have to speak to. Um, so I was a little bit taken aback by what he was saying. Like all these years, it's taken Black Brazilians to come to want to get into Black relationships. And then when the high profile Black Brazilians are doing that and forming Black couples, they're getting haterade from people. Like, what's going on with that? You have to shake your head like, what's going on? Like, the Black community has so many problems here, but this is something that, I mean, what can you say? All I can say is like, okay, what direction are you guys going in? There still seems to be this deep down adoration of having a white person by their side. And what I'm saying is, it's often been pointed out that Black Brazilian men behave this way. Like when they come into money and prestige, they're going to always have a white woman, on their elbow. But Black Brazilian men have said, no, well, you pointing the finger at us when you guys do the same thing. And so then why the hate when prominent Black Brazilian women get with prominent Black Brazilian men? I'm trying to figure that out. It's like, what do you guys really want? Anyway, as I'm saying, this is a little bit new to me. So I wanted to see what people had to say in the comment section, because this is just off the wall to me. So I'm going to just go through these comments one at a time. The first comment says, I've always said that we Black people are not united. Second comment says, it doesn't just apply to famous people, even those who aren't. Society doesn't want that. So listen to that. It's saying the society as a whole doesn't want to see Black couples. And I've seen comments where Black couples go into, nice restaurants or nice malls or just nice neighborhoods, and people are looking like they're almost expecting that one of the Black people in that relationship should have a white partner. Like, how dare you Black people get together? You're supposed to be helping us white in Brazil, right? They're pointing out that Black Brazilians are not united. And, Black Brazilians across the board have been saying this on social networks for years. Next comment says, dude, the point is the policy of whitening the population needs to be maintained. That was the plan. That's why most people are outraged. Like, you guys are going against the plan. What are you Black people doing getting together? You need to get somebody white so we can help whiten this population. Now, I've heard that people feel that white people in Brazil feel this way, but to get it from the Black community, that's wild. Next comment says, my God, it's true. It's surreal. Next comment says, maybe that's why players only have relationships with white women. So beyond people pointing the finger and say, you guys just prefer white women, I've heard Black men say that a lot of Black Brazilian men don't want to deal with the attitudes that Black Brazilian women have. And somebody's asking a question. Well, we see prominent soccer players, musicians, rappers, actors, lawyers, doctors, all seem to be locked up with white women. Is this a possibility as to this is the reason why? Next comment says, if everyone took care of their own, maybe slavery wouldn't have existed. Next comment, oftentimes it's white people, but not only white people, right? Black people do this too. Next comment, the vision is that white men are princes. They think it's beautiful and they romanticize it. Speaking about Black women, even Black women, they see romanticization with white gringos, what they see white foreign men who come to Brazil. They're saying Black women romanticize that. That's a whole nother story. Not going to talk about that because I'll definitely go off in another direction. Next comment says the problem is exposing. When it exposes it, it ends the piece of that, the piece that everyone has. That's it. How can you persecute Blacks even in this subject? Good question. So you got the new generation of Black people who are wanting to have Black love relationships, Afrocentric love, and they getting criticism for that. Explain that, make that make sense. Next comment, I judge the horrors of interracial couples. Now it's all Black couples, everything for me, right? So I guess what she's saying is that she's seen the problems that interracial couples have. They see the looks and the dirty comments or whatever. And she's saying, for me, Black couples are everything, Next comment, you're right. Always ready to push this under the rug for Black couples. If it's not a serious mistake, everyone makes mistakes. So what he's saying here appears to me, what he's saying is that, look, if it's not a big deal, just keep it under the carpet. Let it slide. We need more Black couples. Okay. Always say that when I put comments up like this, you'll see that the original Portuguese is listed there. When I post this article, you can see the original Portuguese for those of you who read Portuguese. Next line, next comment. I'm a Black woman engaged to another Black woman. Man, people don't accept that we're engaged. They always think we're sisters. I get pissed off. Next comment. That's right. It seems that it's wrong in society's view, and they'll do anything to get in the way. Saying society wants to do anything to break up black couples. Wow. Next comment. If men suffer, we black women suffer 4 times more. Next comment says black people hate themselves. Where does that come from? Of course. Next comment, in my view, is more of an idea of Eurocentric reproduction than hatred itself, and people don't understand that they're doing it. So this is what I say when the question is interracial couples, do people know? I mean, do people feel it that they're with this person generally because this is the person they love, or deep down in the soul, have they been indoctrinated by their own families? Like, hey, it's no good getting with a black person. Go out there and get a white person so we can whiten the family. You'll have more validation if you have a white person on your elbow, right? So that's what he's saying. People don't understand that they're doing it. So that's why I always have to ask the question. I can't make an accusation of anybody. This is for anybody in a certain relationship to ask themselves, in fact, why are they with that partner? Right. Next comment. 85% of those who attack in this way are palmiteiras, and they lack racial understanding and are envious of Patricia because she does have the morals to talk about palmitagem because she acts according to what she says. He's speaking specifically. He says 85% of those who are attacking in this way are palmiteiras. This is specifically female swirlers, black female swirlers who are hating on the black boyfriends or husbands of prominent black Brazilian women. That's what he says here. Let me see. Andre Negão. The next comment is good that today black people are talking about this to open their minds. Black people who are still being manipulated to hate their own people. And this is very real. Black people use heavy hands for other black people. It's a question like, do we judge people harder when they're our own people? There was an article online. I want to try and find that article because it was this point that he made came out in an article that I posted, I think last year. I'm going to get into that in a minute. Again, more of the Portuguese here, more comments. We need to review ourselves. You have to fight for your survival. The white media bombards your minds heavily. Be very careful. Talking about the manipulation of the media and always showing positive white characters, stereotype black characters, and very rarely seeing black couples. Of course, this is changing now, but for years, when you looked in Brazil's ever popular soap operas, what's called novellas, all you saw were mostly white couples, and when you did see a black character, they were always paired up with a white couple, with a white partner. So it's there. Watch how the media is manipulating you. Is basically what that person is saying. Next comment. That's easy because if it was a white guy or girl, it'll be easier to alienate or position yourself against their own people on racial issues, and they would keep quiet. That's an interesting point. It's saying that, do black people who get with white people actually position themselves when it's a race issue? They will position themselves on the white perspective and turn against their own black people. A lot of people have accused black people in interracial relationships of having that type of attitude. Next question. That's right. The white guy does ish, and people pretend not to see it. The black bros are all judged. So it's a question. Does the white man do nothing wrong in a relationship? Is it more acceptable when a white man does it, but you're going to call out black men when they do something wrong? Where have we heard this before? Next comment. If you look there, the aesthetics of the couples are the same. Everyone is in athletic shape. You are already excluded from this black love. Next comment. The fact is, black people have constructed an aesthetic that white people have approved of and follow. Powerful. When you're living in a system where they say white supremacy exists, black people tend to adapt to the white standard of beauty and how things should be. What's acceptable, what's not, what's beautiful, what's ugly, these sorts of things. Definitely true in Brazil as well. I've seen this. Let me see. A few more comments here. And some people think it's bad to put Afrocentric relationships on the agenda. Yes, that's why I give a lot of tips on things to do with Afrocentrism, because we need this. That's what they're calling for. Like, look, we need to understand the necessity of black men and black women having a strong relationship. Next comment. They hate it when it's black people with money, and we know why. Next comment. Black love is a political act. Last comment, black love is resistance and the continuity of our people. So you see a lot of black Brazilians get it. This is why I love reading the comments, because people share their opinions on these topics. Now, Another thing that I wanted to point out here, um, they were talking about, or in these comments, you hear people talking about how it seems that black people, when they're in relationships with white people, they'll do anything to maintain that relationship. They'll put up with a whole lot of stuff. But when there's turmoil in a black relationship, they're almost saying like they're the first ones to give up. It's no use. They'll deal with everything that comes wrong in a racial relationship. But when it's one of our own, black man or black woman, it's like they're ready to throw in the towel. I did a story a couple of years ago on this prominent, this well-known black dancer. I think her name is Evie. I forget her last name, but her and her husband had just had a child. And for whatever reason came out of that relationship, he ended up bailing. He bounced on the relationship. And the question that was proposed on the article was asking, like, why is it that we fight so hard to maintain relationships when the partner is white, but when it's a black person, we give up on our relationship like at the first hint of trouble? I think that couple eventually got back together, but that was an excellent point to ask, because this is something that it goes back into asking, why is it that so many black Brazilians seem to feel this need for validation by having a white partner? Okay. Um, there was another, let me see if I can read through these comments because there was something else that came up. Oh, I remember there was a reality show. You can actually find this on Netflix. I remember last year one of my clients was actually watching this. She lives on east side of Detroit, and she was watching this Netflix series called Love is Blind. It was the Brazilian version. I think it's Casamento às Cegas, I think it was called. And there was a couple on there where a black woman married a white man. And, everybody was applauding, whatever, blah, blah, blah. You had people hating on it because, like, why are you marrying this white man? Later, it turned out that this white guy was cheating on her. And so then in the comments on this, people were asking, like, well, look, this is your shining white prince. And here he is, he cheated on you. Now, you're going to deal with that because it's a white man. You had a lot of people who were chiming in on the comment section saying, well, that's what she get for getting with a white guy. So there's conversations and comments going on in Brazil that you just don't expect. People would have you believe that these are only things that people would say in the United States about mixed race couples, right? But it was there for all to see. So interracial couples in Brazil are not just immediately accepted. For a lot of people are of the opinion that black people are not necessarily accepted in interracial relationships by white families unless they have some money. That's a whole nother topic. I want to put this video into more perspective. So here are several articles. You can go to blackbraziltoday.com and look at some of these articles to get more context on what the topic of the video today. Check this out. This is for Brazil's Valentine's Day, the Dia dos Namorados, they call it. White couples, mixed couples, and gay couples. But why did Brazilian advertisers ignore black couples on Brazil's Valentine's Day? Check that story out, because you saw all of the images and you had all of those couples, but there was not one single black couple among the advertisements for this Brazil's what we call Valentine's Day, Dia dos Namorados. People are asking, does black love cure? Black couples discuss the question of what it means in an anti-black society. Who's afraid of black couples? In Brazil's media, seeing a romantic pair that features a black man and a black woman is a rarity. What is the message here? Well, we know what the message is. The message is social engineering so that black people naturally prefer to get with white partners. Okay. Does black love exist? In Brazil, miscegenation and interracial love relationships are always praised. Where does that leave black couples? Which goes back to what the title of today's video is. This is what the guy is asking. Why does Brazilian society hate black couples? When it's a black man, they always look for something wrong to hate on him. Let's keep this going. Palmitagem, which I've spoken on. It started off as accusations of black feminists against black Brazilian men, saying you guys always choose white women for long-term relationships that lead to children and families. They call it, palmitagem is a big relationship of self-hate. The discomfort in thinking about race and relationships. Love has no color. That's what they say. Palmitagem, or you could call it swirling. That's not the best translation, but it's close. It's not just about affection. Palmitagem exists. I'm an example. This was a powerful article by a guy written back in 2016. Black man reflects on growing up in Rio and how the culture and racial hierarchy influences the adoration of white girls. We need to recognize our palmitagem, or the preference for white skin. Goes on and on. The call for black love. The cure for a generation thirsty for integration with the enslavers. Don't need to comment on that. I mean, it says everything there. This girl did a very intriguing video. I put this up in May. She says Black love can't heal us unless we deconstruct our adoration of whiteness, which is something that a lot of people have said. Like, just having Afrocentric love is not going to solve anything if deep down one or both of the partners still have an adoration for whiteness. I've seen numerous couples where one of the couples ends the relationship, or the relationship ends and one or both of the partners end up going and getting with white partners. So deconstructing the adoration that Black Brazilians have been taught to have with whiteness. Okay. Afrocentric love, in addition to taking care of ourselves, is a detoxification process from a European standard that affects us all. A lot said there. Like I said, go over to Black Brazil today. This is a Black men and Black women accuse each other of having white preferences. So to get more context of what I'm talking about here, definitely go over to the blackbraziltoday.com blog. There's almost 4,000 articles. It's talking about interracial relationships. There's numerous articles on this because, I don't think we can really understand what's going on with the Black population in Brazil until we discuss interracial unions, palmitagem, and this desire for Brazil to become a white nation through mixing. This was a video I did probably a couple months back. Afrocentric relationships. More Black Brazilians are seeing Black love as a weapon against racism. Okay, that's a video. Let me see. Looks like 3 months ago. Then this last link here talks about Afro-Dango, the concept of bringing Black men and Black women together. There's at least two Afro-Dango telephone apps or mobile phone apps where these communities are growing that are calling for, areas for Black people to get together, Black men and Black women. Like I said, another YouTuber was recommending these apps for Black Americans coming to Brazil who want to connect specifically with Black Brazilians. So want to know what you thought about today's piece. A lot going on here. Definitely drop a comment in the comment section. Let's get a conversation going. Like this video, share this video, consider subscribing to the channel. Click on the notification bell so you know when I put up a new video. With that said, I'm going to end this video here and request that you all come back. Check out the next video that I'll post here at Black Brazil Today.